Catlin family, Pastor Ethan here with another Walk the Path video for Sunday's message. This week we had Luke Musselman walking us through 1 Corinthians chapter 3. We talked about some immaturity issues within the church, quarreling and fighting, following human leaders, the role of the apostles, the role of Paul and Apollos, and how God is really the most important aspect of all of it, and the folly of human wisdom. But I think as we walk the path, the most clear takeaway from this chapter and everything Paul is pointing to is that these people are spiritually immature because they're following after men and not after Jesus Christ. There's striving and envy, or jealousy and quarreling, as the NIV says, right? There's jealousy and quarreling. There's this fighting that's happening in the church about who's following who, and I follow this person, you follow that person. It's leading to their spiritual immaturity. And the last thing I wanted to point out here, in response to that, Paul is really trying to get to the point that we are God's temple. It says we are his field, we are his temple, and that the Spirit of God lives in you. In verse 16, don't you know that you are God's temple and the Spirit of God lives in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person. For God's temple is holy, and that is what you are. And I just want to encourage us as a church that if by our quarreling and infighting, if that's happening, strife and envy and jealousy, if that's causing divisions in the church, it means you're destroying the church. And it's a pretty strong warning here that if you destroy God's temple, referring to the church, God will destroy you. God will destroy me if I do that. There's a strong warning about causing division in the church and fighting and quarreling. So I'd encourage us that if there is, we need to make amends, we need to seek restoration, seek reconciliation, all those things. So if there's anyone in the church or anyone in your life, Jesus said that you need to forgive or the Lord won't be able to forgive you. And so we need to walk in unity, as Paul says in chapter 1, walking in unity with one another and in love and bearing with one another in love, for love covers a multitude of sins, right? So we love one another, and that's how people know that we're believers, right? They'll know we're believers by our love, how we love one another. And if all they can see is quarreling and infighting, well then I think they would know that the Spirit of God isn't really here, or that we're really immature. And so let's walk with love, let's forgive one another. We're gonna hurt each other sometimes, but we need to forgive. And with that said, we love you. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you this upcoming Sunday as we study 1 Corinthians chapter 4.